Hello and welcome to episode 130 of PubShorts. We are calling it Roll With It. You gotta roll with it. My name is Dr. KK and I am the Innovation Officer at Trinka. And who will roll with us is Tony O'Rourke. Hi, Tony.
That's great. Hello, everyone. I'm Tony O'Rourke. I'm VP here of partnerships here at Inago. Welcome to PubShorts. PubShorts, if you don't know it, if you've missed the previous 129 episodes, is it's a podcast which KK and I record where we discuss stories relating to the world of research publishing. And we give each episode a theme, and that theme is linked to a song. And today's title of the episode is called "Roll with It," which I'm sure most of you know is the song by Oasis from 1995. The song is about adapt. The song's message about adapting as the world changes fits this week's stories with publishers, universities, policymakers, all trying to roll with it or roll with AI written summaries, with new copyright rules, and with an economy being increasingly reshaped by powerful models.
And talking about AI written summaries, we open with a relatively old research paper, and that's like a month and a half old, so I'm going to switch to my the screen. And so this is published in the Journal of Medical Internet Research. It is titled Using ChatGPT-4 for Lay Summarization in Prostate Cancer Research to Advance Patient-Centered Communication, a large-scale generative AI performance evaluation. So first thing to note is that obviously this has used ChatGPT-4, which is, I guess, about 1 year old right now. So keep that in mind for generating lay summaries of scientific research papers. So the researchers who conducted the study compared ChatGPT-4 summaries to summaries written by the original authors. And they used two different prompts for ChatGPT-4. One was a simple prompt and the other one was more detailed. So, Tony, I believe that you may not have had the time to go through this.
I haven't read that article, no.
Do you care to guess which summary was better, AI or the human one?
Well, I I mm, I expect the AI will probably be pretty good in this because we've been experimenting with lay summaries
Uh-huh.
ourselves with various products.
Right, right,
And because it's not creating anything new, it's simply compressing material that's already there.
right.
It actually produces pretty good summaries.
All right.
So
So,
I'm gonna hazard a guess and say it was the AI.
and you won the prize because the ChatGPT-4 summaries were much easier to read than the author summaries. They also had fewer factual errors, which is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
When they used the more detailed from ChatGPT-4 created summaries that were considered high quality, 79% of the time, and the simpler prompt got it right 55% of the time. And how many what was the percentage of authors of human summaries that got a high quality rating? Just a mere 5%. I cannot
Wow.
believe it. I mean, I do understand though. I mean, summarizing a large, let's say, text, let's say a large document, a research paper, by a human, we always tend to miss. I mean, we are probably not going to use the most economical words. Or probably not going to use the best words. So from that point of view, I get it. But this is surprising, and I picked it up from Journalogy, and James Butcher, the person behind Journalogy, also thinks that this is probably one of the best use cases of AI in publishing, and I completely agree, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that you'll also agree with it.
Absolutely. I mean, I've always seen some good examples from some of the projects that we've been running. So
Mhm.
yeah, it doesn't really surprise me.
All right, moving on to the next story, we have a copyright related one. Tony, you mentioned
So I
copyright.
mean, I'm just
Mhm.
thinking a second. I mean, one of the things we should talk about, maybe not this episode, in the future episode, is what do these tools? I mean, if there are good success stories like this, what do these tools mean for the researcher? How much time can the researcher save moving forward when they're preparing their publications? It's I think it's a story in its own right to
Yes,
consider talking about.
and I think we have another story in a future episode, so watch out
Yeah.
for that. So moving on to the next story, I already transitioned to it. So this is titled "Copyright Generative AI and the Future of Academic Publishing." It is. Let me just make sure that I'm on the right page. Yeah, right. So this is by a PhD candidate, and he studies generative AI, copyright, and academic publishing. Dmitry Koshetkov. And so
Kochetkov.
and he's sharing a preprint on Archive. It's called "Who Owns the Knowledge, Copyright, and Gen AI?" And this paper looks at who should regulate using research for AI training. So this is regarding licensing gaps and everything. So a lot of interesting information. So I'll read my notes. Current copyright laws in the US, EU, and UK and China are not ready for this, as per the author. They focus too much on innovation or risk, and international guidelines like OECD and UNESCO's guidelines also do not help much with this case. And Dimitri, the author, examines how licenses like the Creative Commons work with AI training. They weren't made for this scale of machine use. The Creative Commons, CC Signals is doing something about it, and there's a related story. I got to know about CC Signals because of this article, and if this CC Signals are sort of, it's a good way to do it, is what the author is trying to say. It has good ideas like machine readable signals, but faces challenges with enforcement and adoption. And there are, he goes on to discuss different countries and different efforts, including the UK's AI bill, as well as the new regulations that China is proposing in terms of AI guidelines as well. And finally, he comments on the idea of fair use in the US for AI training, which is questionable. The author argues that Gen AI is commercial and outputs can be derivative, and opaque training harms academic norms, and authors should be able to opt out of their work being used for AI training. However, it is hard to enforce because of training data is often hidden and models cannot be untrained once they are sort of trained with these. So,
Mm,
interesting thoughts all around. I think we started talking about AI licensing and AI licensing deals between publishers and AI companies at the start of this year, 2025, and we are
yeah,
still talking about it. Do you have any
yeah.
broad thoughts about it before I pivot to CC Signals, which is something that I was not aware of?
I think the whole issue of rights and licensing is the whole landscape has been changed by AI because the author's absolutely right. Once content's been used to train a generative AI tool, then it's gone. That's it. The right any rights that you might have had have disappeared.
Right.
Or at least any ability to claim that right has disappeared. Whether the author should have the rights or not,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, you want these AI tools to be as accurate as possible, but at the same time, you want the author to be able to choose whether it's appropriate or not to include their
Yeah.
tools. So I suppose I'd err at the moment on the side of the author
Mm.
rather than the Gen AI tools, but that they could well change.
Well, we talked about Creative Commons signals, which I wasn't aware of. So here's a page for it. This is an older sort of an article that hasn't come out. So this is titled CC Signals, a new social contract for the age of AI. So obviously, this was the press release put out by Creative Commons around this. And it basically is a framework on how or for how content creators want their work used in AI training. And it emphasizes reciprocity, recognition, and sustainability for machine reuse of content. And support for this signal, CC signals, can be shown through funding involvement in development or amplifying the message. And it goes on about what are the threats currently, and this why CC signals is solving some of this. So it is aiming to create a new social contract, as is mentioned, focusing on shared expectations and a responsible use. CC signals are designed to incentivize positive actions from AI systems rather than strictly limiting their capabilities. And the framework apparently draws on concepts like consent, compensation, and credit, with the primary goal of increasing and sustaining public access to knowledge. Look, it flew under my radar, and again, I don't know if you were aware of it, but in the context of AI, licensing content for training AI, this is a positive step, and I believe, considering the track record that Creative Commons has, is probably a good way. What do you think?
I think they've got further to go.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe the reason why neither of us have heard of it before this article was because there's not enough noise being talked about this in the market.
Hmm.
I would expect to have seen articles or press releases or
Right.
things in the scholarly kitchen or in other places or journalogy, etc.
Hmm.
On this idea.
Yeah.
It's absolutely essential, I think, for Creative Commons to remain valid and current,
Mm-hmm.
to have an AI related tool as well. What do you want to call it? Option as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. I think they've got to go a lot further in terms of getting it embedded and used and seen to be practical and useful.
Right. Now, moving on to AI and education, Tony, you've just spoken with several educators as well as institutions regarding AI, and we have an article from the from Nature Index. Actually, it is titled "What Would an AI University Look Like and How Might It Change Education?" So this discusses the potential of AI in higher education, exploring what an AI university might look like. So there are some of the authors experimented with avatar teachers, finding that students responded positively to human-like avatars. AI could streamline, authors say, AI could streamline university administration from admissions to personalized tutoring, and AI first universities might be built with AI as a foundational element, potentially improving efficiency and personalization. Although they express concerns about the profit driven motives of AI companies influencing education. So, we have a couple of examples, and I again was not aware of these. So, some examples listed are the Alpha School and Maestro, which are presented as models of AI integration in education, focusing on personalized learning experiences. So some details are mentioned here, and again, I'm surprised that we already are there. So AI could enhance learning through free personalized feedback and an adaptive curriculum. It could also be there 24/7 support for students. Although I consider it as sort of boundary breaking, and education also needs its own boundaries. So you cannot sort of spill it over to the entire day, and people need to sort of study during the time. So those are challenges that I see. And the other downsides that the author mentions are cognitive steering and a pedagogical debt because of the lack of regular AI, in the sense that whatever the established systems, they whatever that in from a pedagogical point of view what they provide, it may not be provided by AI. So, interesting article, considering that we ourselves, Inago, has been in conversations with institutions and educators regarding how in the age of AI, how we can ensure that students are learning what they are supposed to learn.
Yeah, again, this is another case of the absolute essential role for human guardrails
Hmm.
in terms of managing and controlling how AI has been used to train our future, leaders. Um, I think I personally don't think we're at a point yet where AI can be the lead. But look, the reality is AI is being used in education now already.
Hmm.
Um, and students are using it, research teachers are using it, research has been done, AI has been used in research. The reality is it's a widely spread broad tool
Hmm.
in different ways. Um, I don't know about whether there's a requirement for an AI first university, because I suspect most universities will increasingly be using AI anyway, and whether
Hmm.
there's a need to have an AI driven. But anyway, we'll have to see.
I mean,
We'll
this
have,
is
we'll have to roll with it.
Yeah, this is primarily, I think the context of AI here is primarily in terms of curriculum, pedagogical sort of use cases, and customizing, personalizing for students. But our product DocuMark, which is primarily intended as a means to for educators as well as students to ensure that whenever they are sort of submitting their written content, which is increasingly controversial as a means to evaluate learning itself in the AI age, they can provide enough evidence to sort of state that okay, this is something that they themselves have created or like typed, as opposed to they have copy pasted from somewhere else. That
Well,
so.
that the important thing about something like DocuMark, for
Mm,
example, is it's not prescriptive.
mm-hmm.
What we're saying is, look, if you are an AI driven university, you're an AI first university, your rules might be different from a traditional old red brick university,
Right.
which is focused on human teaching or exclusive in human teaching. Therefore, the expectations might change. So you can sort of set your parameters
Mm-hmm.
as you want to.
Right, and if suppose somebody is watching and watching this episode and they want to know more about DocuMark and how they can learn more about it, potentially implement it in their education system, where can they do it, Tony?
Yeah, they just simply look if they go to the inago.com website and search for DocuMark, they'll take you directly there. Or you can even Google Inago DocuMark and it'll take you directly to the website.
All right. Now, this I want to first I'll shift to this in the next story, and I'll ask you to pronounce this, and then I'll take it over from you. So we are talking about a new preprint server, Tony, and this is the name of the preprint server.
Oh gosh, AI Xive. archive, 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 archive,
Archive,
archive,
archive, AI archive.
archive.
Yes.
Yeah, that XI, use is interesting. Archive, yeah.
Yeah, right. So this is a science news story, science, the brand science, and it's a news story published there. A new preprint server welcomes papers written and reviewed by AI. So this is called, as I said, iChive or AI Chive. The platform uses AI reviewers for initial quality checks and guides authors through revisions. The creators of iChive, AI Chive, believe that AI generated knowledge should not be judged on, I mean, should be judged on quality and not origin or provenance, which is a fair argument. And so this server aims to alleviate the pressure on struggling human peer review systems. So there are concerns related to about whether AI is able to ensure research is genuine and avoid superficial reviews. So many publishers are still banning, or they continue to ban AI generated manuscripts, while some others require disclosure with a lot of transparency. So preprint servers, we have talked about this. Preprint servers like Archive and similar like BioArchive and MedArchive and OpenArchive in general and ChemArchive. I think we've SOC Archive is what we talked about. They have an influx of AI assisted papers, poor in quality. So some servers are exploring AI tools for feedback, but still prohibit AI authorship. And AI archives found to emphasize transparency and were motivated by the lack of it in current practices. And the platform, the AI archive platform, uses multiple AI agents to assess novelty, soundness, and impact. And the preprint server can detect attempts to manipulate reviews and aims for a rapid review turnaround. And current submissions range widely, and the platform is still in an experimental phase. And early tests suggest AI reviewers can align with human scores and provide detailed feedback. So, there's a lot to comprehend. But there are two questions that I'm posing to you. One, do you agree that the provenance of the content matters less than the quality of the content, considering that some high quality content, because it's AI generated, might just be simply rejected in the current publishing ecosystem?
Um, yes, I suppose I do. I don't like the fact that I agree, but I think I do. That
Mm,
its quality has got to be more important than necessarily who's produced it.
right.
If it's verifiable quality. So
Mm.
yes, I suppose I do agree.
Yeah, and the second thing, I mean, do we need a dedicated AI archive or archive, or should other preprint servers sort of, pull their socks up and have more or improved sort of screening tools, maybe AI based, to detect, for example, novelty and to
And
make sure that, yeah.
is AI archive or however you pronounce it,
Mhm.
is it subject specific? Is it multidisciplinary? Is it welcoming
Uh,
papers from all areas?
I think it is broad spectrum. Range widely is what it's in my notes, so I guess it is broader spectrum than, let's say, a Chem archive, for example.
Well, I suppose in a sense it's responding to a need. If more and more papers are being generated using AI,
Mm.
then and a lot of the preprint servers are not allowing
Mm-hmm.
AI generated papers to be hosted, then it's another alternative. Maybe it's a way of putting pressure on the AIs on the archive servers and also on publishers to consider AI generated material more readily.
So my question was whether there needs to be an AI archive, or should, let's say, the regular, preprint servers simply
I
start
think
allowing AI submissions if they are good quality to just be published or submitted, or I don't know, hosted.
I think there eventually will be more acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
I think there have to be rules in terms of it cannot exclusively be AI. It can be AI plus human.
Mm.
I don't think it can be exclusively AI. Because who are you? So you can't, an AI isn't a person. An AI isn't
Mm.
an individual. You can't assign a rights. You can't treat an AI in the same way because it's the human that's actually generated the idea. So long as there's some human link to it,
Mm.
then I think it's eventual that they will.
All right.
And this is a stopgap, if you like.
Mhm. And what do you think of the current state of preprint screening technology that is available?
That's a good link.
Mm.
I think I've said this to you before in many other
Mhm.
episodes of PubShorts. Um, I think most of the world underappreciate the amount of screening that takes place in with preprint servers.
Hmm.
And increasingly you're seeing people like these big archive AI, these big preprint servers using um, teams of people to do the screening and using needing tools because of the increasing volumes of papers to use tools. So yeah, the tools that are being developed have like our Inago
Mm.
reports tool have to be they have to be rigorous, they have to be accurate, also have to be flexible, and they also need to be adaptable as well. And we're seeing a lot more use of these tools in the screening of content.
Right, Tony. Thanks for that. And moving on to our last main story. This is from STM Publishing News, and it's quite a mouthful. Commission launches consultation on protocols for reserving rights from text and data mining under the AI Act and the GPAI Code of Practice. So,
Yeah,
GPAI stands for General Purpose AI. And so, the
yeah,
European Commission is seeking input on how to handle copyright when AI models are trained on text and data. They have
yeah,
launched a
yeah,
consultation to help implement the AI Act's requirement for AI providers to respect
yeah,
copyright reservations. So, the GPAI Code of Practice offers a way for AI providers to show that they are complying with the copyright rules, especially regarding text and data mining, which is abbreviated as TDM, and I think something that I think we all should be more aware of, TDM. This code includes commitment to use and respect a TDM opt-out protocol similar to robots.txt, which prevents, let's say, which prevents things like Google from scrolling your website if you wish for that to happen. The commission wants to identify TDM opt-out solutions that are technically feasible, widely adopted, and considered the state of the art. And they're asking for views from the copyright holders, AI providers, and others on these solutions. Stakeholders can also express interest in workshops to discuss the opt-out protocol. And the goal is to reach an agreement on a list of machine-readable opt-out solutions which will be updated regularly. And the deadline for this consultation has been extended to January 26. It should be. I hope that it is January 26. My notes say 23, which is
last line.
oh, the 23rd of January. Yeah, right. Okay, 23rd of January 2026 is what I think they should say. Right.
Gotcha.
All right. So, any thoughts on this? I mean, considering that European Union involvement, and do you think that like something I guess a platform compatible, inclusive opt out for DDM, text and data mining?
Well, first of all, let's go back to text and data mining. The text and data mining initiatives and rules and copyright management is not new.
Hmm.
When I worked in publishing many years ago, I was involved in some of the first licenses for text and data mining, which allowed opt-in and opt-out for publishers,
Hmm.
and which then could be extended to individual authors. Um, Obviously, with AI, this is being extended, and there's an absolute right for it to be extended. It's correct, super correct. Yeah, the European Commission, although being criticised in certain areas for lethargy and maybe not being as reactive as they should to world events,
Hmm.
they really are on top of the game when it comes to AI rights. So I think what they're doing here is trying to put a framework around the need to manage and manage rights within AI learning.
Mm.
So I think it's going to be a question of watch this space, because what the EU does, often others will follow.
Right. All right. Moving on to quick hits. The first one is very interesting, and well, you'll know why. So this is a New York Times special. Why does AI write like that? So it basically goes on to explain that AI writing has something that is lacking from a human point of view, and there are so many sort of characteristic aspects to AI content that you can detect even if you do not use an AI content detector. So this some of the things that I learned in this are I think the rule of two and a rule of three. So constructions like it's not X, it's Y. It's way more common in AI as opposed to regular human writing, and even the humans write it, it's much more frequent in AI. Apart from obviously things like delving and tapestry, all of these things are higher frequency, and this this is a good example. All these images in this article are a good example of what is wrong. So it's not just pizza, it's passion, for example. And the rule of three, Tony, if you're wondering what that is, it basically goes like this. You say things like, it's not A, it's not B, it's something else. It's C, for example. So I wrote about it on LinkedIn. So I wrote, it's not written by AI, it's not written by human, it's just a mix. If you find such construction a lot in your text, in any content, then you can suspect that it is generated by it. So the main article is about why it is happening like this, and it's probably because of the way older models like GPT were trained, and it suddenly seemed to identify some of these phrases, and has sort of, it's from an AI point of view, it's like a verbal tick. But anyway, so this takes out something from it, and I guess we all, because I'm sure that all of us who is listening to Tony and I, we all use AI in one way or the other, and you have to learn to identify wherever there's a lot of these AI sort of hallmark or fingerprint phrases. So what are your thoughts on it? Do you think that when you use, let's say, Gemini, for example, which is what your favorite AI is, do you find such constructions more frequently?
I do. I mean, I tell you why I do find it most common is when I'm, occasionally I'll sell things on the internet, records, books,
Mm.
clothes, whatever it might be. And some of these selling sites, which will remain nameless, um, allow you to create, or actually whether you want to or not, create some AI sort of summaries of that particular object.
Hmm.
And often those descriptions are so bland and so kind of neutral and so derivative that I turn them off.
Hmm.
I'd rather have like 2 lines of me typing something in than some cloying piece of nonsense. Yeah. So you are seeing they are getting better, to be fair. But you can spot it every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's often too much needless information about that product.
Mm.
The type of wall, the studio it's recorded in. You don't need that
Mm.
in the description of the product, but the whatever tool is being used
Mm.
will automatically generate that sort
I
of
mean, this brings
useful
us
summary.
sort of back to our conversation around the responsible AI movement itself. The whole idea behind the movement is that if suppose researchers are indeed using AI could put in some things that they did not intend to put in, and they may overlook such things, and that also expands to more than just phrases. It includes accuracy related concerns. So if you're submitting a research paper and you have done some work on it using AI, you probably need to have the output thoroughly verified. If you cannot do it, then maybe you need to seek assistance from somebody who understands English better. So this is a principle of responsible AI movement. Anyway,
Yeah.
do you have any thoughts to add to that?
Well, I will add to that.
Mm.
Yes, I mean we, as you know, KK, our businesses, apart outside of PubShorts, our core business is around providing editing services.
Right.
Um, and clearly, authors are using AI more and more in the use of their when preparing their content, but it's so obvious when you see them. And publishers are telling me that the number of papers that are being rejected because of the use, not just because of the use of AI, but the way AI has been used in that paper.
Hmm.
The author's not necessarily declaring how AI has been used.
Right.
The author not checking what the AI is saying back to the same extent as they would if they were writing it themselves. So it's creating a whole sort of range of other issues, and then we end up having to edit the paper ourselves anyway,
Hmm.
because of the errors or because of the way the tool that paper has been generated.
Mm. Okay. Interesting point. And we'll continue to talk about the responsible AI
Oh,
movement.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, the responsible AI movement is, and it's really picking up traction. I don't know if you saw, we had interviews with several Nobel Prize winning
Yes.
researchers recently. I
Yeah.
mean, when we talked about it, they were talking also about the use of AI
Right.
and their expectations. So I think it's an increasingly hot potato. My advice to any researcher watching this
Mm.
is if you're using AI at all in the generation of your paper, when you're submitting a paper, be open, be honest, say how you're being used, not just the fact that you used AI, but
Mm.
how you used AI.
Excellent. Thanks, Tony, for that. We have been rolling with the Chat GPT updates for a while now. We have more updates. So OpenAI launches GPT 5.2 as it navigates Code-Red. Code-Red in terms of it needing to keep up with other companies. Just a summary: it is the most advanced AI model that OpenAI has released up to date, and it boasts of enhanced capabilities in writing, coding, and reasoning, following an internal Code-Red, which we've covered before as well. Initiative prompted by increasing competition from rivals like Google. So, Tony, when I read out such note by note from such stories, you ask me what is different, and it's just a better model. That's all I have to say. Do you have any further questions?
No, I'm losing track of the different updates and the different releases and the differences between each release. You know, as
Yeah.
long as there's people like you, KK, here who can keep track of these models and tell me how one is better than the other,
Yeah.
then that's fine.
Well, I can tell you that I think 5.2 is better than 5.1 in my personal use, even though I've almost completely any sort of challenging, like something that I need to trust the AI a little more than I can trust OpenAI, Open ChatGPT. I go with Opus Claude 4.5. Claude 4.5 Opus. That's what I want to say, not Sonnet. Anyway, so that's the best model that Claude has produced so far. And a related story: ChatGPT's adult mode is expected to debut in the first quarter of 2026. So you wonder.
Adults mode.
Yes, it basically using the chat information that it has of a user, it determines whether it is. I mean, the user is an adult or not, and depending on that, some features will be enabled and disabled.
Oh, that's interesting.
It
Yep,
is
see that.
concerning is more is what I would say, because you would be talking you would probably be talking about, if suppose you're a children's book writer, maybe you might be using language which is not similar to uh, what an adult needs to use. So anyway, so I find this concerning, even though I understand, especially considering what is going on in Australia in terms of social media.
Yeah,
So such things need to happen. All right,
yeah.
finally, the last one. It's I don't know why I put it as a quick hit, but it's a comment called title: AI is transforming the economy. Understanding its impact requires both data and imagination. So it's a kind of a long, very sort of in-depth article. So I'll read out a few notes. Control studies offer insights, but they quickly become outdated because of AI's rapid advancement. And these studies also miss broader economic ripple effects, like how businesses might reorganize around AI. And the main, I guess, the thrust of the article is that the author suggests social science fiction, which is a speculative yet principle based analysis which can help anticipate future scenarios. And when I read this, I remember now why it was a quick hit. This sounds like Isaac Asimov's psychohistory to me. I mean, which is basically
Yeah,
this.
absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
just going to say psycho history. Yeah.
Right. So this is the reason why it's a wonderful read. But we are talking about AI and how it is affecting society. So I guess I recommend this as a good read. And this also has, I guess, Asimov's robot series inspired visuals as well. Any further thoughts on this regarding AI's impact on society?
Oh, look, I'm not specifically about this paper. We all know how AI is impacting on society. You know, it's almost in every conversation that you have,
Mm.
whether it's in the supermarket, in your community clubs, or wherever it might be, meeting with friends, talking to your family. Absolutely endemic, and you can see, you know, how people are using it in aspects of their lives and in aspects of their work.
Yeah.
So it's already there. You know, I think so. And it's an interesting article, but perhaps. Um, yeah, no, I'm not sure about how using it to predict the future, but
Mhm.
why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
And that brings us to the end of episode 130. And I hope that another thing that should be endemic and should be talked about in community clubs is are the 129 episodes of Pop Shots, which I'm sure, Tony, you've been recommending your
And
friend.
why aren't they talking about it, KK? That's a good question.
I have no idea. Maybe we should be hanging out at bars and talking about Pop Shots. I'm sure
Suit
you'd.
yourself. I'm not hanging around in bars. Um, yeah.
Go on. Where can people find with
Okay,
all?
yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Pub Shorts. We record this is episode 130. All previous 129 episodes of Pepper Shorts, Pub Shorts, even Pepper Shorts is something else completely different. Pub Shorts are available on our Inargo playlist,
Mhm.
the Pub Shorts playlist on YouTube. Just search for Inargo Pub Shorts, and you'll get all of those episodes appear. We really encourage you to leave comments about the podcast, or perhaps ideas for future topics. And thank you for those who've already sent through ideas. And we urge you to, you know, do the usual, press the like button, share it with your colleagues, as it helps us to encourages us also to create more content for you.
Also, it lets the content to reach other users. So it works for the algorithm, and we find we believe that some of the content that we discuss is useful, especially for researchers who may not be keeping up with all the AI related developments, and
Well,
it will help.
this is the point. I mean, if we take my perspective, I am not a I'm not a technologist. I'm, somebody who's been in business. I'm a publisher, so and I understand the use of public technology. But I'm not somebody like UKK who and really quite openly embraces the technology. Who's like an early adopter.
Mm.
I like to see how these tools are being used.
Yeah.
So for me, I have learned a huge amount from
Mm.
doing these episodes in terms of how AI is being used and where AI is being used and the opportunities and threats
Yeah.
that it creates.
Yep.
And we don't just talk about AI, but it has become a reasonably regular
Right.
topic.
Right, and that's the reason why the conversation. I mean, I'm not an expert, but at the same time, I guess I have a little more knowledge. But the conversation that the interactions that Tony and I have obviously would contextualize things for you, and this will help you. That's the reason why we do continue to
Yeah,
do the pop shots.
yeah,
So that's the
yeah.
reason why we'd like you to share and also give us feedback. And thank you for all the feedback that you've given us so far. And until the next time, which is with episode 131, this is Dr. KK signing off for Tony and as well as for the team that helps us to bring such content. So we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye, Tony.
Roll with it, everyone.